Whoops. Okay. All right, so if you're on YouTube, to my right, and I'm also on TikTok to my left. So if you're on YouTube, you can scroll to when I actually start talking about the clairs, and I will try to hold up some papers that let you know that I'm kind of getting started. If you're on TikTok, welcome, welcome. All right. Hello, hello. Good morning, good morning. So we're going to be talking about clairs today. Hello, everyone on TikTok. I think I'm getting started 2 minutes late. Par for the course. How is everyone? How are everyone? How is everyone? Okay. So we'll give everybody a chance to kind of come into the space, if you will. Good morning, good morning, good morning. All right, so I am on YouTube and TikTok. If you're on either one, welcome. My name is Mariana. I'm an energy reader, which is a psychic, a medium, an animal communicator, and a nonverbal communicator, all rolled into one. If you're seeing this later on YouTube, you can scroll ahead to when we start talking about the clairs. It is Saturday morning, March 8th, maybe? Yeah, it doesn't matter. You're seeing it when you're seeing it. Good morning over here. Good morning, good morning. Tip tapping on TikTok to give free likes. Again, if you're on YouTube, just scroll to when I hold up the papers when we'll start talking. All right. Good morning over here. Let's give everybody a few more minutes to pop in. We're going to be talking about clairs this morning and taking questions. All right, all right, all right. Good morning, good morning, good morning. All right. Well, let's see, the purposes of YouTube, morning. Purposes of YouTube, I may get started before TikTok fills up. All right, so on YouTube, all right, we talked last week about some of the things that are psychic and some of the things that are not considered psychic. I feel like I'm looking in the wrong place. I don't have a great setup for YouTube yet. Not a videographer by any stretch of the imagination. Obviously I don't have a studio with lighting, and I don't have that set up. That's okay, because the information is still the information, right? We don't need to have a fancy studio, in my opinion, to share information. But we are going to talk about the clairvoyances, right? Or I should just say clair abilities, which is considered extrasensory perception. Oh, I forgot to hold up my papers. So you guys could scroll to when I started talking. Good morning on TikTok land. Good morning, good morning. All right, so we're talking about the clairs, which is considered extrasensory perception. It refers to the ability to receive information beyond your traditional five senses: sight, hearing, touch, taste, and smell. So I agree with that, but I also agree that that's exactly what you use are your five senses. So it isn't that you're going beyond your five senses, it's kind of your five senses on steroids. It's your five senses and then some. All right. Back in the day, I don't really hear it called this much anymore, but a lot of times back in the day, people used to call it a sixth sense. But there are actually multiple senses that we never talk about, multiple clairs that we never talk about. Clairvoyance, however, is the ability to perceive images, visions, or symbols beyond a normal sight, beyond my fingernails are pink, my hair is brown, right? And it's considered clear seeing. Good morning in TikTok land. Please do share, please like, keep those fingers tip-tapping for the free likes. Clairaudience is the ability to hear voices, sounds, or messages from beyond physical hearing. So you hear a train horn in the distance, it almost feels like that sometimes when you're working within this space and you hear something. It isn't as if Samuel Jackson is narrating what you're hearing, right? but you still know that you heard something. It's a little bit weird to explain, but it's pretty cool once it happens. This is clear hearing. That's my dog out there whining because I apologize. My goodness. It's considered clairaudient, and it's clear hearing. All right. Good morning over there. Let's keep those fingers tapping. We're not doing great on the free tap, tip tap. Tapping is clapping. All right, back over to YouTube. Clairsentience is clear feeling, and this is the ability to sense emotions, energies, or physical sensations from people, objects, or places. Clear feeling, clairsentience. These are kind of hard to say. Let's be clear. All right, we're going to keep going. If we have any questions over there, just let me know. And then claircognizance, the sudden knowledge or insight about a person, a place, or event without logical reasoning. So you know something about someone, but they didn't tell it to you. You didn't read it in a book. They don't have a sign on their forehead that says I'm depressed or I'm grieving or I'm having an affair or something like that. But somehow you still know. This is called claircognizance, and it falls under the clear knowing category. Good morning in TikTok. Good morning. Good morning. Clapping is tapping or tapping is clapping. One of the two. Okay. Now, telepathy also falls under types of ESP, and we will talk about that on a different Saturday. Precognition also falls under types of ESP, and we'll talk about that on a different Saturday as well. And retrocognition, let me go ahead and define them. Telepathy is the ability to communicate mind to mind with another person or being. There's this really popular thing out there right now called the telepathy tapes, and it's as if things are so cyclical that they come back around. Telepathy isn't new by any stretch of the imagination, and you don't need to be non-verbally autistic in order to do it. Anyone can do it. It's basically what animal communicators are doing. It's basically what you're doing when you communicate with your animals and you don't even realize it, or you communicate. I wish my mom would call, and your mom calls, right? You are basically performing a small snippet of telepathy. Now, in the skeptical world, they absolutely just think none of this exists. But if it didn't exist, we wouldn't still be talking about it in 2025, right? All right, what's going on over in TikTok land? You guys keep those tapping going. Let's get those going. All right, precognition, which I just gave the class that I'm teaching currently. Precognition is the ability to perceive or predict future events before they occur. Now, obviously, there's going to be different levels of being able to do this, right? And then retrocognition, the ability to perceive past events that one has not personally experienced. So when you're reading for other people, very often spirit will take you back to a specific age or a specific event or trauma that's held in. But we'll talk about those on different Saturdays. And then psychometry, the ability to gather information about an object or a person by touching something. So often I use this cute little bird, right? So we have this cute little bird. If this was someone else's little bird, you would hold it. You would often feel an emotion. You might feel a memory. Oh, Jamie's here. Thank you, Jamie. Keep them going, Jamie. Get on them. Hey, Steele. All right, so we will talk about those other Saturdays. ESP, though, is often studied in parapsychology and is a key component of psychic development. And that's what we're talking about this morning, is basically psychic development. A lot of people get into mediumship and they don't have the foundation of being psychic first. Not all psychics are mediums, but most mediums are psychic. Well, I've been finding, or all mediums should be psychic. And I've been finding that a lot of mediums don't know the difference between a psychic and a medium, because those are two different modalities, right? You can be a psychic and you can be a medium. It doesn't mean that they are smushed together now. They're still two different modalities. All right, let's keep going. Might be out of shape when talking makes you breathe hard. All right. So beyond the clear seeing, clear hearing, clear feeling, clear knowing, there are several lesser known clairs. That doesn't mean they aren't as important. It just means people don't talk about them as much. And they're very powerful in psychic work. Clear empathy, clear emotional feeling, So what is it? It's the ability to deeply sense and absorb the emotions of others, even at a distance. When I first got started in mediumship and psychicness and all of this stuff, I was too clear empathetic. I was painfully clear empathetic. I would cry through the whole reading. I would get overwhelmed. I would feel the grief of the people around me, or even the grief of people from the other side. All right. You may feel someone's joy, sadness, or anxiety as if it were your own, even if they are not expressing it outwardly. This is a really good clair to have, because what happens is somebody could be presenting one way. How many people do you know? Robin Williams. I use it. Poor guy. I use him so much. Outwardly happy, outwardly funny, outwardly doing well, painfully depressed. So it's important in this work to have the ability for clear empathy, because what someone presents and what someone is actually feeling may be two very different things. The challenge is it can be overwhelming if you don't learn to shield yourself, especially around strong negative emotions. The energy vampires. I think we've all worked with someone or been in, thank you, Sherry. I think we've all worked with someone or been in a family or even been in an intimate relationship where there's the vampiric energy drain, right? And so if you're incredibly clear empathetic, you may excuse this over and over and over again, and you may not have strong boundaries. An example would be walking into a room and immediately knowing there was an argument before you arrived. That's an easy one. Some of the ones that I've run into is just knowing when someone is absolutely straight up lying right to your face immediately, right? Another one is knowing when someone doesn't like you almost immediately, or you walked in and they were talking about you and you're like, isn't that cute? So when we're done talking about the clairs, we're going to do a small exercise where we're going to do a word association, and it sounds very elementary school, but there's a method to the madness. So make sure you have a pen and a paper, and I'm going to take a drink of coffee. Let's all take 30 seconds. I get going too fast. I get worked up and I get going too fast sometimes. So let's all take about 30 seconds, go grab a pen and a paper, so that when we get to the point where we're going to do the exercise, you already have it. Whew. I also have a hard time breathing, so it's more than that. Good morning, Kelsey. Thank you. So I'm trying to do a little Psychic Saturdays. So I'm on YouTube and I'm on TikTok, and we're talking about both. Thank you so much, Jamie. Excuse me. Hello, hello. All right, so last week we talked about basically what we did, a little exercise as well, but we talked about the difference between being a psychic and being a medium. Last week we talked about psychic versus intuition. So if you didn't see the last one and you're interested in my teaching style, because I know it's different, I know normally on YouTube you get on and people, you know, they part it together and they have videography and they put music, and this is just me talking about stuff. But we talked about the difference between being a psychic and being a medium. They're different modalities. I will legitimately drive you guys nuts with the amount of times that I say this. Psychic versus intuition. We went over a brief history of psychic abilities, very brief, and then reasons to develop your own psychic abilities. And then we talked about the double-edged sword of feeling other people's emotions. And we talked about some of the negativities of, and we're all psychic, let me get that clear. But learning it and practicing it are two different things. It's kind of like a muscle, right? You know, you have your muscles, but if you never exercise the back of this muscle is going to be stronger than this muscle. I should know what that is. And then we did a small psychic exercise, and we will do another small exercise after we talk about the clairs. All right. Thank you, Sherry. Oh, thank you, Jamie. Okay, so we just talked about clair empathy. This is also one of the ones that literally no one taught me when I first got started. And one of the clapping is tapping. You guys are doing good. This is one of the ones that nobody really talked about when I first got started, and I felt overwhelmed with all of this emotion, and I didn't understand it because the teachers thus far had only talked about the five senses: hearing, seeing, tasting, smelling. Should know what that last one is, right? Anyway, you get my point. And so nobody had talked about this clear emotional ability to feel other people's emotions. And it was very overwhelming. I almost quit. I almost was like, this is bullshit. I'm never doing this again. The next one is clairgustance. Gustance. It's very difficult to say, and it's spelled CLAIRGUSTANCE, so that you guys can look into this yourself. And it's clear tasting. So yes, we have tasting over here, right? Where did we put that? Oh, we didn't talk about that. So we have clear knowing, clear feeling, clear hearing, clear seeing, and now we're talking about clear tasting, excuse me. So the ability to psychically taste things that are not physically present. I know when I do animal communication, for example, very often if an animal has been poisoned, I will taste this coppery metallic feel in my mouth. And especially as women, if you've ever taken that one medication that we've had to take in the past, I don't even remember what it was for, but it's very coppery metallic tasting. So it's in your database and you know what it tastes like. And so when I'm doing a lot of animal communication, when an animal has gotten into something that has shut them down, or obviously I'm not a vet, all the disclaimers, but I will say they got into something and usually that person can figure out exactly what it was. And some have literally passed, right? And then that's what it was. The ability to psychically taste things that are not physically present, clear tasting. This can manifest as random tastes, sometimes linked to spiritual messages, memories, or energy readings. So when people are doing mediumship, very often they may taste a favorite food. They may taste a food that someone hated. Like if somebody hated Skittles, who hates Skittles? I don't know. They may taste Skittles and they may be repulsed by it, right? So they have a clear feeling and a clear tasting, and then they get... Go get your earbuds, Sherry. That was funny. Whew. I do need to take a drink anyways. I have breathing problems. I'm not really that out of shape. All right. All right, so we talked about clear tasting. So how it works, we just talked about that. The challenge is that it can be confusing as the meaning behind the taste often requires interpretation. So as a psychic, you're very much more interactive with the person that you're reading than you are in mediumship. So as a psychic, you are having a back and forth communication very often, right? But as a medium, you very much only want yes, no, maybes. Yes, no, I don't know, maybe, I'll check into it. Because mediumship, that's just the way it's done. I'm not sure what to say right there. But within psychic, you can interpret it a little bit better because you could tell someone, sorry, usually my nose starts itching because we're in this space and I end up with a lot of kind of spirit that likes to have their attention. All right, so where were we? Example, suddenly tasting cigar smoke when connecting with spirit who smokes cigars in life. So short story, my ex's dad actually passed away in his pickup truck and he was a smoker. And we had had it for years, and my ex is fastidious in the way he cleans things. So let me just say that like he cleans things, right? Unlike my room. Anyway, it'd been a couple of years. We get in this pickup truck and just we were assaulted by the smell of cigarette smoke. And now a skeptic is going to say, well, he smoked in the vehicle. Well, right, but then we would have smelled it every day, right? And I don't recall, but it was either around my ex's birthday or around the ex's father-in-law's birthday or something along that line. But the fact that we could almost taste it, we could definitely smell it, right? So suddenly tasting cigar smoke is one. Suddenly tasting sweets, suddenly tasting something sour. All right, let's keep going. Thank you guys over there. I'm on YouTube and TikTok. If you're on YouTube, you can always fast forward this to the part where you want to get to. So, clairvoyance. I don't know that I'm saying that right, so I'm going to spell it. So Claire, Caclair, ALIENCE. That way you guys can look it up yourselves and do a little more research, go down that rabbit hole. Clear smelling. So I kind of talked about that a little bit already with the clear tasting, right? Clear smelling and clear tasting often go together. It's the ability to detect smells that are not physically present. How it works. A scent may appear as a sign from a spirit or a way to validate a psychic impression. So let's say you get, hello soul, thank you, good. So let's say you're working with someone and you get something like they have a sweet tooth and they really need to settle down, right? You may get the smell of chocolate chip cookies, but you may get the taste of Skittles again. I'm going to use Skittles because I like Skittles. I don't eat them because they're, especially in America, unfortunately, they're just kind of a trash food. But however, you may smell and taste at the same time. Very often these two clairs very much go together. Smells are subjective though, and they can be misinterpreted if not linked to relevant context. So a lot of times, again, in a psychic reading, you're going to want to have that back and forth with the person that you're reading. In a mediumship reading, you may give something very specific and say, do you understand that? Does that resonate with you? Again, because in a psychic reading, you're having that interaction. In a mediumship reading, you don't necessarily have the interaction the same way. They're two different modalities. You guys will absolutely get tired of hearing me say this. All right, smelling a deceased grandmother's perfume when thinking about her, despite no one wearing it. There was, I did a reading one time, and there was a specific perfume that my mother used to wear, and so Spirit showed it to me through my mother's perfume, and I got a hint of it, and that perfume had been what's that called when they discontinued? It had been discontinued for probably decades, honestly. I'm old. All right. Whew. Let's take a drink of coffee. Okay. Clairsoma. And these are all the clairs that no one really talks about, right? So clairsoma, Clairsoma, clear physical sensation. It's feeling physical sensations related to a spirit or an energy. So you may suddenly feel pressure, tingling, or even specific bodily sensations linked to the energy that you're connecting with. Hey, Shelley. So very often, I was doing a reading yesterday and I kept getting side pain for this woman. And like legitimately it was under my ribs, and then it was on top of my ribs, and then it was up here, but it was all my left side. Her husband had passed from, he had passed one way, right? But she said that didn't really have anything to do with how he passed, but he was consistently complaining in life about this left side pain. And I kept getting this left side. Like I had to ask him to, I was like, you can take it away now. We're good. We have identified a piece of evidence and now it's okay to take it back. So, however, that's called clairsoma, clear physical sensation, feeling physical sensations related to a spirit or an energy. So how would this apply to a psychic reading? If you're talking to someone and you're trying to narrow down why you have something medically going on, knowing that we aren't doctors, always give your disclaimers. I'm not a doctor. This is for you to research. Here's what I feel. Okay, here's what I feel. You give your information in a way that empowers the person you're talking to. You don't want to give your information as a fact, like, oh, you got to go do this and you got to do this and you got to do that. I would love for you to look into, I would love for you to consider, I would love for you to go down this rabbit hole. Here's what I'm feeling. Okay, so we always have to be careful to not take the power away from the person that we're reading. They always have the autonomy and the free will to do what they're going to do with the information. It isn't up to you what they do with the information that you give them. Once you give it, it's theirs. Excuse me. All right. So the clairsoma, right, it can be physically draining if not controlled. Kind of like I said, okay, now you can take it away, right? I don't need this kind of side pain anymore. You can take it back. So it can be physically draining, but that's why you set your intentions, and that's why you are very specific with kind of your spirit team and what you're willing to accept and what you aren't willing to accept. So feeling, for example, feeling a tightness in the chest when connecting with someone who passed from heart disease. So, all right, clair creativity, clear inspired creation. No one ever talks, well, I wouldn't say ever. People don't talk about this enough, but there are a lot of psychics and intuitives that do spirit art, or you could do, you could write a piece. If you're a musician, you could write a piece of music, obviously not a musician. And, oh, there I have it right there. Writers are, I should read my own stuff. Writers, artists, and musicians often experience this as a sudden rush of ideas, almost as if they are downloading information from another realm. Now, it's hard to prove and can be dismissed as just creativity. Okay. Does it work? Is it fun? Does it create something? Oh, nice. You spirit sketch. I love that. Yeah, there's a lot of spirit art, and there are some mediums and or psychics who do work with, missing kids or cases, if you will, that they will sketch stuff. And I have actually done that as well. Like sketched, this is what I'm seeing, and then I sketched it. But I'm not a great sketcher, so I'm not sure how good it looked. All right, the challenge is that it's hard to prove and can be dismissed as just creativity. Honestly, people that are going to dismiss you are going to dismiss you anyways. The skeptics always have to be the smartest ones in the room. And even though I am also skeptical of things, I am also always willing to be wrong. Jamie said she'd lose her damn last name if it wasn't on a piece of paper. That's hilarious. So an example would be composing a song effortlessly in one sitting as if it were being dictated to you. So why are these important? So these lesser known clairs, and there's still more. Like you can go down an absolute rabbit hole of information on clairs. How to work with them, how to, improve them, how to work that muscle, I should say. But these lesser known clairs highlight how psychic abilities are more than just visions or voices. They show that intuition can work through any of the senses, and developing these skills allows for a richer, more nuanced understanding of the unseen world. So then I kept going. Oh, that's right. I really went down this rabbit hole, you guys. So I'm going to give you some more. All right. I really should read through my own notes before I get on here. Clear intellect. Clear mental understanding, the sudden and effortless understanding of complex topics, often spiritual or metaphysical in nature. So without prior study, you may instinctively know deep truths about the universe, ancient knowledge, or philosophical concepts. A lot of people that get into this realm realize that they are remembering information as opposed to learning information. When I first got into this, I started with tarot. And I did a reading for this gal who was super nice and everything fit. And I kind of thought maybe she was just making it fit to make me feel better. But then I kept getting better hits and better hits and better hits, and my tarot readings were good and better. And I realized that she was right. Like these, I'm remembering how to do this as opposed to learning how to do this. So when you guys think of it that way, it's a little bit easier to digest, if you will, that you're remembering information previously already learned. Does that make sense? Okay. It can feel overwhelming, right? As the knowledge doesn't come from books or logical learning. Like, how would I know that? How would I have known that? I've never, operated a spaceship, but I know XYZ. That was a horrible example, but here's another one. I can't even say this one. Claire, Kinesiologist. Kinesiology. Good Lord. Clear body movement. The ability to receive messages through physical movement or gestures without conscious intention. If you've ever seen me doing a psychic reading or a mediumship reading and even an animal communication reading, you will often see me grab my neck, or I will grab my ear, or I will touch my head, or, whatever. I'll do something. I'll do this. This person. One time this turned into the woman always ate a grapefruit for breakfast. I was like, what? And I want to say that I had tasted something, I had smelled something, and then I kept doing this, something along those lines. She would cut it, she would score the grapefruit, and then she would go, creak, and she would take it apart, and then she would have two sides, obviously, and she would eat her grapefruit. So sometimes when you're doing these body movements, it does absolutely apply to the reading that you were doing. Oh, thank you, Jamie. All right. So obviously this requires trust, as it can feel like an external force is moving your body. I do have an arrangement, agreement, whatever you want to say, with the universe, with whoever is helping me out, that I'm willing to, like, obviously move around and kind of touch, and is it this, is it that, do I feel it here, do I feel it there? So that takes a little bit, right? That takes a little bit of trust in the spirit world. That takes a little bit of trust in people that have passed over, that you're saying, okay, I'm okay with seeing this or feeling this or sensing this or tasting this. It takes a little bit of trust. So, and then the example I wrote down is feeling your hands while doing energy healing or automatic writing, which we kind of just talked about. Clairhaptics. Haptics. And I laugh because it's hard to, I just like the clear, the answer on the other side of the Claire, right? Uh-oh, I have low power mode on my YouTube. All right, if I disappear on YouTube, I apologize. I can't plug it in because it has to be set up this way in order for the camera to work. I thought I had plugged it in last night to charge everything, and it came unplugged from the wall during the night. So I'm assuming one of the dogs. All right, clairhaptics is Haptics, clear tactile perception. A step beyond clairagency, which is psychometry, where you not only receive impressions, but physically experience an object's history through sensation, which would be amazing. I don't know that I have experienced psychometry to that extent, and I would love to. So there's always something for psychics and mediums to keep learning. Never think that just because you're at one place that there's not something else to learn, for sure. So when touching something, you may feel the temperature, texture, or even movements that relate to this object's past. The sensations can be intense and unsettling, and that could be a challenge, right? Especially if you're feeling something from someone who passed away dramatically or tragically or painfully. So, for example, picking up a soldier's old uniform and feeling the cold air of a battlefield or the tightness of their boots. That would be clear tactile perception. All right, clairgousia. I have no idea if I'm saying that right. Clair, and then Geusia, which is clear digestive knowing. This is similar to clear tasting, but instead of just taste, information is received through a sensation in the digestive system. When I tell you there's a whole rabbit hole, you're fine, baby. There's lots of dogs. When I tell you that there's a whole rabbit hole of clairs, I mean it. So, how it works is you may feel hunger, nausea, fullness, or warmth in your stomach in response to energy. So someone who maybe had eating disorder, you may feel that eating disorder in a way that they would have felt it, right? Sometimes it doesn't always have to be in your database. You can learn through new things through spirit, but most often it is in your database, or you'll give it and you'll have to have interaction with that person that you're giving a psychic reading to in order to find the interpretation. All right, it can be confused with regular physical emotions, and an example would be feeling an unexpected queasiness when near a location where a tragic event occurred. I tell this story as I was, I was driving along and somebody was having a vigil at a small space on this road. It was like 3:30 in the morning. It was dark. I was headed into work, and they were having a vigil. And when I drove past, my entire body reacted to the emotion and the digestive problem, like everything. It was taste, it was smell, it was emotion. It was like everything hit me all at once as I drove through this. This was actually before I started all of this this trip down woo-woo land, right? This trip down the yellow brick road, if you will. And so I felt it, and I did understand it. I was like, I just felt everything they were feeling as I drove through this. It was that overpowering. I started crying immediately, like it just enveloped me. All right, that was clear digestive knowing. Number 11. How many of these did I write down? Okay. Clairthermia. THERMIA, which is clear temperature perception. The ability to sense temperature shifts as messages from spirit or energy fields. Another way to use this one is through weather. So we often don't think about weather when we're doing readings, but weather impacts us every day. If I walk outside right now, I'm either going to be cold, I'm going to be hot, it's going to be nice, it's going to be a beautiful day, or I'm going to get hit in the face with a sandstorm, right? Because it's crazy windy in Colorado. Or if you live in Kansas, clear temperature perception is something farmers and nomads and hunters used to very much always have. And it's something we don't really think about much anymore because all we have to do is get on our our cell phone, dating myself. We just have to get on our cell phone and check the weather app, right? And so it's almost as if a lot of us have shut down some of these clairs and some of these abilities to intuit things. But the ability to sense temperature shifts. So you might suddenly feel heat or cold with no external cause, corresponding to an energy presence or a weather anomaly. People very often can smell rain. They can feel when Jamie still has a telephone. I love it. They can smell rain. They can feel when a shift has gone, especially again, farmers, nomads, hunters, and they're like, oh, we got to either hurry up and get the field plowed, or we have to do this, or we have to do that because bad weather's coming in. It can be confused with natural environmental changes. And an example would be feeling an unexpected cold draft when a spirit enters a room, or warmth when an angelic presence is near. But even more practical, even on a more practical, right? Let's say you're hiking and you feel this clear temperature change. You should probably pay attention, right? How many people get lost in the mountains because they weren't paying attention and allowing their senses to inform them? They were not listening to their intuition. And you don't even have to call it psychic at that point. You just have to call it survival. You have to call it allowing your intuition to inform you. Okay. I love this one, clairvoyant dreaming, which is clear dream visions. So the ability to receive psychic information only through dreams rather than through waking visions. How it works is messages, symbols, premonitions come into the form of vivid dreams that feel different from regular dreams. If you have ever had, good morning, Signe. If you have ever had a dream visitation from a passed over loved one or a passed over animal, you absolutely know what I'm talking about here, but I think all of us dream at one point or another in our lives. And so we can very much kind of accept that a little more than some of these other senses and intuitive psychic abilities and intuitive knowings, right? So dreaming about a car accident and later hearing that a friend was in one the same day. So sometimes these do require interpretations, as often messages come in symbolic form. So this kind of also can fall into the precognition area. All right, we're going to keep going. I wrote down too many of these. Clear alcarity, ALACRITY. I used to think that I could pronounce words really good until I got into some of these words. Alclarity. I'm torturing it. Clear, immediate action. The instant knowing of what to do in a situation without thought or hesitation. If you've ever been in the military, if you've ever been a first responder, if you've ever been a mother, let's face it, right? You have that clear, immediate action and you know what to do. This is an intuitive sense. This is a psychic ability. Our intuition and psychic ability are basically one and the same. And as soon as we start being aware of that and practicing, how would I say that? As soon as you're aware of that and practicing intentional intuitiveness, it's nothing more than being intentionally psychic. So psychic and intuitive, where did I have that? How did I write that before? Intuition, I'll just repeat it, is the natural gut feeling or instinct everyone has, often guiding them in decision making without conscious reasoning. Psychic ability is a heightened form of intuition where a person consistently receives verifiable information beyond logical deduction. So they're one and the same, and yet one is on steroids and one isn't. All right, we talked about that, we talked about that. All right. So we were talking about I am not saying that right. Alacitri. I could not say that word. Clear immediate action. I like the clears. Clear feeling, clear knowing, clear tasting. Some of these words, absolutely, my tongue gets tied and I lose the point. Clear immediate action is how your body reacts without consciously planning, guided by an unseen force. It's the mother that picks the car up off of a child or a person. It's the soldier. It's the EMS. It's the people who are trained in muscle memory. But even people who haven't been trained often know how or what to do sometimes in emergency situations. That's what this is. It's hard to recognize because it feels like a natural instinct. But if you're doing something that you've never been taught and it changes the course of something, right? If you're putting a tourniquet on someone's arm and you've never been taught how to do a tourniquet, you are literally altering almost the course of that person's life. An example would be swerving to avoid hidden danger on the road seconds before it appears. Okay, but it is also clear immediate action is basically you in a crisis situation. And even though you don't necessarily know what to do, you're doing it anyways. Okay, all right. All right, so I see what I did here. So we talked about that, we talked about that, we talked about that. All right, so we're going to do a little exercise. We're going to do a little exercise. Now, this is something that you've all already done before. So you have your pen, you have your paper. You guys have all done this in elementary school. I'm sure of it. It's word association. So what I want to do, as you work on your psychic abilities, as you work on mediumship, hey, thank you for being here on YouTube. I don't have too many people on YouTube that come to a live, so they watch it later, right? Because I just haven't been doing enough YouTube. Let's just does that. Thank you, Jamie. Absolutely. All right, so word association. Do you see it? Do you feel it? Do you taste it? Do you hear it? Do you just know it? Right? Let's go back over this. This was a lot of information that you can watch back. So we have clear emotional feeling, right? We have clear tasting. We have clear smelling. We have clear touch. Clear physical sensation. Now, obviously, you don't have to you could just do the 5, right? You could just do the who, what, why, where kind of a thing. Clear mental understanding. Maybe you feel it in your body. Maybe you feel it in your stomach. Maybe there's a temperature. Maybe you recall a dream. Maybe it's a memory. That sort of thing. So I just want you to write down what you feel, see, hear, taste when I say a word. So we're going to get started. All right. Bird. Did you get a visual image of a bird? Did you see a bird fly? Did you feel the flap of a wing? Did you see a cartoon character? All of this is important because this is your database. This is what you think of when you hear this word association. Dog. Nice, Monica. Yeah, you can definitely put them into the chats as well if you want to respond. When you heard the word dog, did you get licked on the face? Did you recall, Monica says, a fluffy dog? Do you recall sleeping with a specific dog? Do you recall fighting for a room on your own bed with a dog? Do you think of a specific name of a dog? Do you smell poop? I did a reading for a gal one time. It was an animal communication, and it was an overwhelming smell of poop. You got dog hair in your nose? It was an overwhelming smell of poop, and I was like, oh my goodness. I looked around. All my dogs had been put away. So I'm on TikTok and I'm on YouTube in case you wonder why I look stupid. And anyways, as I was doing this reading and I was talking to this person that I was reading for, I was like, I just got this overwhelming smell of dog poop. And she said she had like 8 dogs. And so all the time, she was cleaning up dog poop. And I was like, wow. I looked around. I thought one of my dogs laid a big one. All right, let's keep going. Coffee cup. What do you get? What do you get for a coffee cup? Did you immediately turn it into a hot tea cup? And write down the first thing that comes in. Don't think about it. Don't hesitate. What came from your database when I said coffee cup? Let's see here. Grabbing stuff around me, which could get interesting. Knitting needle. Knitting needles. What do you see? What do you hear? A lot of times you can close your eyes to do this exercise so that you don't see what I'm holding up, because it matters what's in your database, not what I'm holding up. So a lot of times when knitting needles come in and I'm giving a reading, it's probably someone who did crafts. I mean, it's that simple, right? All right, let's keep going. Hair tie. Hair tie. Shh. You guys are so annoying. Hair tie. What do you get, feel, see, sense, smell? What is the first thing that comes at you when I say the words? Headphones. Oh, Jamie, you got achy hands for the knitting needles? Very interesting. Okay, you guys, listen, work with that, right? So if you're bringing through someone, or you're talking to someone psychically, or bringing through someone for mediumship, and I just held up knitting needles, and she said achy hands, that's going to be a piece of evidence. That's going to be like, did this person, before they passed, already have knuckle issues? A lot of older women, their hands get, kind of messed up, right? Leanne said rubber for the hair tie. So very interesting response. Yeah. So your database is going to give you your response. Sherry said, what if I think of people that are still alive? That's very much an important, that's perfectly okay, obviously, right? Because it's your database. So it's whatever comes to you. A lot of times also, though, spirit, especially in mediumship, will use those people that are still alive in order to give you information. Yeah, definitely, Jamie, about the hair tie. So Sherry thinks of people that are still alive when I say something. And what happens is spirit will use those people. So for example, I held up knitting needles. Immediately, sometimes when I think of this personally, I think of my grandmother. So if I think of my grandmother immediately, I could then infer that the information for this person that I'm reading either deals with their grandmother or them as a grandmother. Do you see where I'm going with this? So it's not up to us to interpret, but it is up to us to use our database and then talk to the person. So in a psychic reading, you're going to have back and forth. You're going to have conversation. In a mediumship reading, you're going to say something along the lines of, would you understand knitting and your grandmother being a piece of evidence for you, or something that within the context of the reading? Of course, I'm pulling this out of thin air. Okay. All right, let's do sticky. Did you actually get a sticky? What came to your mind? It's okay to be dirty. I'm just kidding. What came to your mind with the word sticky? All right, we're going to keep going. First thing out of your mind. First thing out of your mind. Oh, you thought of a child. I love that, Jamie. A sticky little child with jam on their face, right? Signy got an actual sticky note. I love that. Hand lotion. Batgirl got a mousetrap. I love that. Hand lotion. Now, don't forget, if you just went in the gutter, the people that lived here and that passed over, they were human. They were human, right? All right, Sherry got mom. Leanne got cold. Interesting, cold for hand lotion. Batgirl got her own cracked hands. Yeah, absolutely. All right, so do you understand the point of word association? It's you working through your database to see what comes up. So it's a fun one to play too. So if you have someone that you kind of work with sporadically, or that you guys have a circle that you do, or you're looking for a circle activity, word association is just fun and easy. Book. What do you guys get when I say the word book? I love this book, by the way. I need to read it again. Jump. Jump. Sherry got a blank book. A book worth filling up. Jump. Oh, how cool. Here's a prompt literally that's called free to associate. You can use free association to explore any image from a dream or character or place you plan to write about. And that's literally what we're doing right now. Oh, dang. Signe. Signe deals with a lot of ghosts and a lot of history, and she got bridge. I said jump, she got bridge. I got a jump rope. Leanne got sore knees. I get a jump rope when I hear jump, because remember back in the day when we were just little kids and it was fun to try to jump rope, and then they would have the 2 jump ropes. I don't recall being really that graceful. How about paper towel? What do you get for paper towel? Somebody out there is like, she really has to clean her office. I really do. I really, really do. In fact, I'm going to do that probably after this so my son can use that computer. Oh, you got Van Halen. I remember that song. I can't do it, but you got jump rope too, Jamie? I love that. We're going to do a few more, and then we're going to hop off of here, and I'm going to go to TikTok and just talk and do some little 1-card free reads. Let's see what else. All right. How about magazine? Magazine. That's a good one, Tina. She said paper towel equals waste, right? Better to use towels that you can wash. Sherry's like, this is TikTok. I mean, I'm going to get off of YouTube and I'm going to go back to TikTok. Oh, Leanne got Playboy. I love that. Because what if you're talking to Grandpa? Batgirl got Grandma. That's so funny. So Leanne got Playboy. So what if you're talking to Grandpa and he brings in a magazine? You immediately think Playboy. The person that you're talking to could have had that experience, that their first introduction to something along those lines could have been a Playboy, right? Sherry, all right, doctor's offices. So you also steal magazines. I understand, Sherry. I understand. Oh, Tina, I like that one. Magazine equals beauty shop. Do you see how everyone's database is different? That is so important in this niche, in this area, is that it's so important to understand that the person that you're talking to from spirit, or the person that you're giving a psychic reading to, isn't always going to have the same database, and they're going to get different information. Like Jamie talked about the ads within the magazine. Maybe she worked in advertising. Maybe she sold advertising. Maybe she was a graphic designer. We get different things. Let's see what else I have laying around me here. All right. I have this. Kombucha. Does anybody know what kombucha is? What do you think of when you hear that word? Sour. Yes, very often. Oh, your grandmother. Okay. Hippie. Signe, that's exactly what I thought of too. That is literally what I thought of too, is hippie. So it's fizzy iced tea and gut-friendly benefits. So basically, kombucha is just a fermented like tea. Like it's, I'm not sure what else to call it. So this one says green tea brewed with juicy mango, tart, passion fruit, and a hint of ginger. Organic tea, probiotic, no fake stuff. So I absolutely, oh, this is so cute. They have a little, what is that little guy? He's a sloth. They have a sloth holding a flavor profile. My goodness, my tongue is like, who are we talking to right now? Anyway, so you get what I'm saying here. So I got hippie for kombucha too. Tina says she thinks of healthy gut. I love it. All right, so that's the point of word association. It's a really super, your grandma used to make it from scratch. I love that. I would so not trust me making something that had to be fermented from scratch. I would be like, botulism, right? I think of botulism when I think of canning, because that was the big scare back in that way back, right? That if you were doing your own canning, God forbid you gave yourself or your family botulism because it could kill you. All right, we've been on here close to an hour, so this one was really fun. I don't know that's where my notes end, so I actually don't know what I'm going to be doing next Saturday, but we're going to get on here and do this again next Saturday. And we're going to still talking about psychics. So these are Psychic Saturdays. Free education, whatever you want to call it, free conversation. It's a time to kind of get together and talk about the things that we're learning and how to work on those skills. All right. So I got low battery on YouTube again, so I need to end this before it cuts me off and I lose it. I don't know how that works. So thank you for being here on YouTube. Check me out next Saturday. Please follow.